trigger warning for this episode. Let me try that again. Guys, a little trigger warning for this episode. It is about suicide and mental health.
If you need help, just seek it. If you are not able to listen to this episode, please click away if it's better for you.
And if it's good for you, definitely listen. Enjoy this episode.
Previously on The Slut Show.
Hey, my name is Ellen Moore. Nice to meet you. I host The Slut Show on the internet. I ask people if they masturbate and watch porn when I was 14 on camera. I post myself basically naked on the internet. Besides that, I was abused, I had anorexia, and I did modeling internationally. But apart from that, I'm quite normal.
I've been on a date with a gigolo.
What?
Yes.
An undercover cop dressed in drag. This is like, oh my god, I can't believe I'm telling anyone this.
In today's episode of The Slut Show.
Slut Show.
The Slut Show with Ellen Moore.
We made this.
Oh my god, I can't. This is also very important for people with mental illnesses to hear.
I was like, how do I deal with this?
Good for you.
Fuck that.
Set those boundaries. Choose yourself.
It shouldn't turn into an unhealthy friendship.
Because it was so close to home, because she is literally born on the same date, and I was so shocked that, like, wow, now people my age are starting to die. Invest that time and energy in people who do give that back to you.
Yes, exactly, and it's been good.
Shut the fuck up if you're not a therapist.
If you literally put your life on pause, then you won't be happy either.
I want to be friends with you, just not with your problems. And that is... Yes. We're back in the studio of The Slut Show. 3, 2, 1... Hey, thank you so much for listening. No matter when you are listening, no matter where you are, get comfortable. Get yourself a cup of tea, a glass, or an entire bottle of wine. Maybe smoke a blunt, get under a blanket, grab yourself some popcorn, and enjoy this week's episode of The Slut Show with Ellen Moore. My name is Ellen Moore, and today I am back in the studio with my designer bald-ass bitch, fantastic feminist, and close friend, your son Maria. Welcome to the studio of The Slut Show.
Thanks for having me.
Episode
again.
4 already. 4th time is a charm, I guess.
Yes, I know. I love being back every time.
I'm so excited to do this thing with you again.
I get such good vibes every time I leave here. It's
amazing.
Fantastic.
I'm so happy to hear that. Today we're going to be discussing a quite heavy subject, but very interesting: how to deal with friends struggling with mental health issues. And before we get into all of the juicy stuff and the very personal information, because we got very interesting questions as well, here we go. The Slut Show with Ellen Moore, the podcast / talk show about shit we as females have to deal with on a daily basis. About feminism, insecurities, feeling like a bomb-ass bitch, and obviously about loads of sex. Enjoy your weekly dose of empowerment. Your weekly dose of empowerment, exactly. Empower us with the most empowering thing you did recently.
Ooh, let me think about this. The most empowering thing I did.
The most empowering thing I did lately. You know what? We're going to start with slutty science, and we're going to get to the most empowering thing in a bit, because we need some time to think, because we didn't prepare this properly. Woo, that's us as well.
Sorry.
Let's get slutty science immediately.
Slutty science.
I got some slutty science for you, because we like to stick to facts.
Slutty science with Ellen Moore.
Slutty science. It's not that slutty this time, but it's interesting science. In 2016, suicide was the 10th leading cause of death in the United States. Suicide rates have steadily increased in recent years. From 2000 through 2016, suicide rates increased for both males and females, with greater annual percentages increasing occurring after 2006. Among females aged between 25 and 44, 32% of suicides involved firearms. Firearms were the second most frequent means of suicides among females aged 45 and over, accounting for 32% of suicides among those aged between 45 and 64, and for 38% among those who were aged between 65 and 74, and for a astonishing 33% among those aged over 75. These are obviously shocking numbers, and they're huge. What is your personal experience in your personal life with suicide? The thought of wanting to kill yourself. Have you been through that yourself? Have you had friends think about those things?
I've never like seriously considered suicide when I was like maybe 13, 14. I was sort of, the only thing I've ever had is being curious about what life after death looks like. Are you just dead? And I was like, I was just thinking, what if I would kill myself? What would happen? But I never actually considered doing it. The daughter of my neighbor killed herself.
Wow.
And she was grown up. She just had a baby. And that was pretty heavy on my mom and on my neighbor is a 60-year-old woman, or she was 62 at the time. I think she's a bit older now.
So she's taking care of the baby now?
No, her husband is, but it's heavy. He remarried, and they have another kid, which is really hard on my neighbor. She's, I think, closing. Maybe she's already 70 actually. She's really fit and young in spirit, and she's really healthy.
Holy shit, that's very, very rough.
Yeah, she lost a lot of family members actually. So she lost her husband as well and 2 other kids. So I don't know how she deals with life, but I think her grandkids are the only thing that is still keeping her alive. She has them to live for, and she had 5 children, and 3 of them are dead. So
holy shit, what a way to start this episode.
Yeah,
My
I'm sorry,
goodness.
that's one thing that I remember clearly. But when she died, I was, I think, 10 or 11. So I was
that must have left something that for you to be able to know this so detailedly.
Yes, definitely, it made a huge impact. But actually, when I was, I think, 14, 15, when I was in 3rd grade of high school, or like middle school for the American listeners.
Right.
I was 14. I think we went on a camp, and one of the old students that just graduated, he was like 18, 19. He was doing a gap year. He went with us because there weren't enough teachers that could come. And with a few friends of mine, I had the most amazing week there. It was in Belgium, and we did things like cycling and climbing and all these like adventurous things.
That's awesome.
We loved him, and he was really like the adventurous type. He was like exploring himself, and everybody really looked up to him. He was the kind of person you think like he could do everything. When he was still in our school, he was in the party committee, and he was in the student council, and he basically was a perfect human.
Everywhere.
He was everywhere, and he could get along. He wasn't too popular, but he could get along with everyone. But he wasn't like mean. And then I think a year later, we found out that he killed himself.
Wow.
And
that's insane. Sometimes I'm on the train, and then you get the announcement there is a person on the track, and the train is stopping very abruptly, or you hear a lot of noises happening. And then I often hear people say, oh my God, that's so annoying, someone killed themselves. And then I'm like, oh my God, you have no idea at what point you have to get in life in order for to want to kill yourself. That is so...
It's weird to think that killing yourself is in any way selfish. It may be selfish, but you see it as the only way out.
It is selfish as fuck in my opinion, but it is plausible in that sense that please don't kill yourself. If you need help in what way or whatever.
If you're in the Netherlands, there's a
suicide
113.
hotline. Yeah, exactly. The suicide hotline in the Netherlands is 113, and American suicide hotlines and British suicide hotlines I will link in the description as well.
Yeah, if you need help, please
seek help, because it's not something light. It's a very rough thing.
And you don't have to get over it yourself. No, but this friend of mine, he I don't know, we had this like memorial a few days later at our school. I didn't go to the school for a few days because I was so heartbroken, and I wasn't even close to him. I didn't know his parents. I didn't know his friends. I was quite like, if you look at circles in life, I was quite far removed from him, but his death had such a huge impact on me when I was young. And the memorial was heartbreaking. When I think about it, I'm like getting a bit like I get a bit teared up as well, because I don't know, it's this guy was such a special human, and I don't know, he's just not here anymore, and
that's fucked.
That is what it is, and there's nothing we can do about that. And the memorial was really, because it was at our school where he left a year ago, so it was really intimate, and like old students were there as well, and everybody could come, but nobody had to. It wasn't with the entire school. It was like during like third period, everybody could come that wanted to and could skip class for that. And like teachers were crying, everybody was crying. And the fact that there's like, you don't realize, but you have so many people that care about you, that love you, that you made an impression on, even if you only met them 5 years ago or 10 or 20. Like those friends of your parents that maybe only saw you as a baby, they're gonna be sad as well. Everybody is gonna be sad about
right
you.
right
So
I think that there was a preliminary school friend of mine. She killed herself a while back, and she was one of my closest friends at the time, and I did not keep in touch with her when we both went to different high schools, and we did not really keep in touch as our preliminary school career developed. But she killed herself, and she was just like I am, born on the 7th of August 1999, and that when she killed herself, it really felt to me, because it was so close to home, because she is literally born on the same date, and I was so shocked that, like, wow, now people my age are starting to die.
yeah.
And that was just so insanely real to me. And that, similar to your story, there were a lot of people at the funeral and at the memorial and whatever more. And that hit close to home. I really felt. And I've always struggled with mental stuff. I've been depressed since I was very, very, very young, and I am currently on antidepressants. I had an eating disorder, anorexia, and my experience with that is a friend of mine who I was in high school with. She got anorexia when we were in second grade in high school. However much that is in American terms. And she started to just basically stop eating, and she lost so much weight, and I saw that happen, and I was like, oh my god, why are you not eating? And I even like texted her I emailed her therapist saying please admit her to hospital, because she needs help, and she's apparently not able to fix it on her own. And that was so rough in that sense that I felt so like I couldn't do anything. And I think it's really, really hard to support friends that are in such a bad place. What are things that you do when you're surrounded by people who are in a very bad place? Either it's an eating disorder or depression or whatever it is, they're in a bad place. How do you help them? What do you do?
I try to make as clear as possible that they are not a burden to me, that they are not bothering me with their problems, that I want to listen. I also very much try to not come up with easy solutions for very complicated problems, because I see some friends, I have one friend in mind that I'm thinking about right now, and sometimes I hear people around her say like, oh yes, but I have that too, and don't think about it too much, you're not actually this, or you don't actually have that, it's just a name or it's just a label. And
shut the fuck up if you're not a therapist. If you're not her or his therapist, just shut up and don't come with your stupid non-factual based opinions.
The only thing I can do is be a support, like set up a support system. I try to make as clear as possible that you can call me whenever you need to. It's a very dear friend of mine. We don't know each other very long, but we've been getting very close because we live close, and because of quarantine you couldn't really see a lot of friends, people, obviously, and because we lived literally across from each other, we saw each other a lot. And she's been like, well, I won't get into whatever because I don't know if she feels comfortable with that, but the main thing I really try to do is say, okay, I can have empathy and I can be there for you, but I cannot understand what you're going through, because I've never felt this myself. I've had my sad days, but I've never had a depression or feeling very low for a long time. I do know I've also been through shit, and I know that it's hard, but it might get better, but it might not get better soon. But I'll be there for you in the meantime. You can always call me. You can always tell me. You can cry. We can talk. I can distract you, whatever you need.
I think it's especially important for people, like, obviously this is called How to Help People Who Are Struggling with Mental Illnesses, but I think this is also very important for people with mental illnesses to hear, because it is important to express your needs, because if you don't express your needs very clearly, then it's hard for your friends to be able to help you, because they don't know how to help you either.
I cannot always feel what she needs. Sometimes she needs someone who will listen to her, but sometimes she needs someone who will distract her, but she finds it really hard to tell me exactly what she needs. Actually, something which her therapists should suggested, or her psychology she made a group chat with her closest friends that all live nearby,
right?
And in that way, if she, for example, has some struggles with doing groceries or something, she doesn't have to text.
Really practical help.
It's really practical, but she doesn't have to text me saying, can you go with me to the grocery store, or can you get this for me? She can text in there, is anyone going to the grocery store? So there's 5 friends in there, I think. And then if there's anyone available, then she doesn't feel like a burden. It works out for us because we all have lives too, which is rough, but it's the truth.
Yeah.
I cannot not devote my entire life to helping her.
Of course.
That's just the way life works.
I think that's one of the hardest things to hear when you're the one who's struggling with mental illness, is that people have a life and that you're not their priority. I think that's, even though true, one of the hardest things to hear, because it's so...
But she is definitely one of my priorities. Definitely. But not my only one. I cannot put my entire life on hold for her.
And you shouldn't.
No, especially no. That you cannot do that, because then you if you literally put your life on pause, then you won't be happy either, and then you cannot help them anymore at some point.
Because then you're the one who's gonna suffer from all kinds of things,
which is fucked up. But I love her so much, and I try to be there for her, and sometimes I don't really have the words, and then I text her later like, okay, just so wanted to say this, and she's like, okay, I love you. And then I don't know, I try my best. I've literally, when I just found out, I've never had a friend before that had any signs of depression or mental health issues. I literally Googled for an hour how to support friends with mental illnesses,
right,
what to do, what not to do. And yeah, well, I think the most important thing for them is let them know their priority, that they're not a burden, listen, and don't think you can solve it.
Yeah, I think that's a very... Hey, did you hear that?
I think we've got mail.
We've got mail.
And
we've got a good question for you today. Today's question is a very honest one, and it's also very much so related to what we were talking about setting boundaries. This is from a girl asking, I find it hard to define where boundaries lay with my friends who are struggling with depression and other mental difficulties. On one hand, I want to be there for them, but I feel like I don't get anything back, and they're not supportive for me when good things happen in my life. But I also understand that sometimes it's impossible for them to give something back. How do I deal with that?
Oh, that's a rough one, actually.
And a very relevant question, I think, as well.
Yes. At some point... when you're so supportive of a friend that's struggling, I think a friendship can become unbalanced at some point if one of the friends always needs help and support and a listening ear, and the other one also has good moments and doesn't feel like they can share that. I've had that feeling sometimes, but the thing is, I have more than one friend, and I have a lot of friends that I can share these moments with, and obviously it depends on how long you know. Yeah, for me this is really hard because I don't want to say at some point like, okay, yes, I cannot share these happy moments with you, and that makes me feel shitty. I've been there, but then
I think it's so complicated because
this is for me, it's really complicated.
I think this is the hardest question ever, because you don't want to dump your friends because they're so depressed, because you know that then it's going to get worse and then you're going to feel super guilty, but you also don't want to.
That's not even why I don't want to dump them, but it's not because I'm going to feel guilty and they're going to get worse, but also because I think it's not that bad that I'm glad that I can help and support and be there in any way. But the truth is, it's a hard truth, but I think it is just the truth that you can
only take so much.
You can only take so much before you shouldn't turn into an unhealthy friendship.
I think this is very complicated because for me, this is one of my biggest fears, being too much on that exact what this whole question is about, that exact level. Like, how am I gonna not be too much, and how am I gonna keep that balance? And I'm constantly being assured by my friends that don't worry, you're also a lot of fun, and we can have great parties with you, and we can have hilarious conversations, and we can laugh a lot. But there's also this downside to being friends with me, and maybe it's not necessarily a downside, but a different side, let's say. And I also struggle with when can I tell someone this, when can I not, what is something that I should tell them because they're friends, when can I not. And you also realize that people take their distance, and someone once told me, and this is honestly the most hurtful thing someone has ever said to me ever. Oh, there's weird hairs in my face.
It's fine. It's fine.
And that is, I want to be friends with you, just not with your problems. And that is the hardest thing I've ever heard in my life.
But honestly, I wouldn't. That's
as rude as fucking shit.
That's really fucking rude, because nobody comes with zero problems, and the fact that you are on, like, despite your depression, you still have a fun and bubbly personality. That doesn't mean that you would be you without whatever you've been through. So for me, that's honestly ridiculous. I can understand that somebody would at some point say, okay, I really want to support you, but you're draining my energy too much and you're holding me back, which is a really hard truth, but that can happen after a long time of supporting someone and not getting anything in return.
Correct.
It's a really rough truth, but
I think that's exactly what you said. There needs to be a certain amount of balance. The balance doesn't have to be 50-50.
No,
it can
not
be
at all.
90-10 for a very long time, and then it goes 80-20, then it goes 60-40 for you, and then the balances are always hard to find, and once you found them, you need to see if they're still accurate in the very moment that you're living in, and it's hard to find that and to cope with all those things. It's so personal, and it depends on every single bit of the context.
I also really don't want, if my friend is hearing this, I love you and I don't feel like you are a burden to me.
I feel
so
like
do
that's
not worry.
so important.
This was more in general speaking, and I love you. Do not worry.
Good. I hope she's listening. We all love you.
I hope so.
You're listened to, you're cared for, you're heard. And
you can always call me.
Or sliding my DMs. I know you don't know me, but anyways.
I literally, the entire Reddit used to come here. I was on the phone with her for 15 minutes. And
that's awesome.
We didn't see each other for 3 days, so we had a lot to tell.
Of course. Of course.
3 days.
3 entire days. That's a lot, man. I mean, I completely understand that. The thing is, though, the girl that said that to me, we were 16, 17-ish, and she had a lot of things on her plate as well, and I had just run away from home, and I was just moving out, and I had to work 3 jobs at the same time, and she could not she couldn't see everything happen because it was so hard.
Just didn't have room for each other's problems,
right? And especially because my life was moving and changing in such a rapid, abrupt pace, right? That it was I can imagine that it's also sometimes unbearable to see someone hurting so much, because that's very much how I felt when my friend got that eating disorder. I felt so hopeless and helpless, especially. I felt like I couldn't do anything.
Yes, I've had that too, because I don't have any experience with any mental health issues myself. So for me, I don't know how she actually feels, and how they feel, what they are going through. They can only explain so much,
right.
And I just know that it's probably worse than I think that it is, because you don't see everything on the outside. And I just, for me, I want to do as much as I can without putting myself, without killing myself for it. That's not the right wording.
Not literally.
No, but without
losing
wearing
myself
out.
Thing, yeah.
So for me, I'm still adjusting and trying to figure out how to deal with all this. But I think it's good how we found a good balance right now. We have a support system built around her. She knows she can always come to one of us. She has good roommates. I think right now she's dealing with like the stuff she has with her psychologist, and for the rest that we can do, we do what we can, and I think that's working out for now. It's not solved, but I think we found a good balance. So I hope that she feels like that too.
I hope so too. I really hope so. I think that finding balance and not losing yourself in the whole situation is the key to being able to help your friends, because otherwise you can't help someone else unless you are in a stable mindset and a stable mental place. I feel like sometimes when I am helping people, I lose myself in this pattern of becoming Mom Ellen. They literally, some people like have me in their phones as Mom Ellen, which is funny, but it's also a problematic pattern that keeps returning of me taking care of everyone around me instead of taking care of myself first.
Yes, especially if you're dealing with
all the things I'm dealing with, right?
Things on your own, then it's I think a lot of people who are struggling themselves tend to want to focus on other people's problems and solving them to just get distracted, and it makes them feel better.
Way of coping.
But it's an unhealthy coping mechanism because you should probably focus on yourself. But for me, like, I don't have any mental health issues right now.
Luckily.
Yes, which I always took kind of for granted until I moved to Amsterdam. I have friends now who are struggling with all kinds of things. I have all kinds of friends with histories and whatnot, and it made me realize, okay, I've not had the easiest life. If you want to know about my family history, watch the episode before this one.
Right.
But I'm healthy physically and mentally, which is something that I now am very grateful for, which I never really realized that it was not the standard.
Yeah, I think that as soon as you realize that it's not the standard, should be mentally healthy and physically healthy, you're like, whoa, I should be super grateful for the things that I am.
Yes, exactly. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful that I realized this before. Like, maybe I get something in the future. I don't know. You cannot know. You cannot influence this. Or maybe you can a little bit, but something can happen, and I'm grateful that I can realize already now that I'm grateful for being healthy, and not just look back when I maybe am 40 and I have something and I look back like, oh, why wasn't I happier with being so happy?
Yeah, exactly. I think you need to go through rough patches in order to realize that the good parts were actually really good.
Yes,
yeah,
I guess so.
Exactly. I think that what I was talking about earlier, the being Mom Ellen, being mom for anyone is not a good idea, and that's why finding a balance in those kinds of friendships is very important. And that's also one of the most empowering things I did recently. I just realized setting boundaries for myself. I've been setting boundaries so much more. I've been kicking people out of my lives. I have been unapologetic with it, and it has been rough on me because those are people that I love thoroughly and wholeheartedly, and but at a certain point you need to start looking out for yourself instead of constantly worrying about others and constantly doing everything for others. You cannot just take everything that others do to you and be like, sure, you can do that, you can shit on my plate, literally, like we say in Dutch, op mijn bordje poepen, and then we're still friends. No, there is a certain amount of things that you can take from someone, and then that's it. That's you put them where they belong, to the trash.
Yeah, I actually have a very similar story. I didn't really so I have a few people in my life that I didn't choose to be in my life, but they're just, because of circumstances, they just are, and I cannot get rid of them. And they didn't like me very well, and I was constantly trying to please them, trying to get them to like me, and they just turned meaner and meaner, and I really didn't know how to deal. And at some point I was crying in my room, and I was like, I don't know how to, like, I couldn't get them out of my life until I
very relatable.
I was like, how do I deal with this? And then I went on a holiday, and when I came back, I decided after 2 weeks, okay, I'm not gonna try to please them anymore, not gonna try to give them attention. They're still in my life, but since I stopped doing that, they've been a lot nicer, and I cannot now it's a good balance.
I think the most important thing is that you stop worrying about it, and then even if they don't give a shit about you, or if they find you this or that, that's not your problem anymore. That's theirs to deal with.
They found me too much.
Fuck them.
Too much of everything. And I was constantly trying to please them and trying to make myself smaller and being extra kind, extra sweet, like always doing extra things for them, trying to get to notice that I was trying my best. And I just completely stopped doing that. I was like,
good for you.
Fuck that.
Set those boundaries, choose yourself, invest that time and energy.
And now it's kind of flipped.
That's amazing. Invest that time and energy in people who do give that back to you.
Yes, exactly. And it's been good. It's been really nice.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's yes. Wait,
yes,
again. You can kind of hear it, I hope. Thank you guys for watching, and thank you for being so open with us again.
Thank you for having me.
It's always fantastic to do this with you. It makes me very, very happy.
Yes, me too. I'm very honored to be in like 4 episodes of your amazing slut show.
Oh my god. Oh,
look at how beautiful this is.
Guys,
we made this.
We made this. Oh my god.
If you're listening on Spotify, by the way.
We made this. Okay, here we go. Ready? We made this.
If you're listening on Spotify, by the way, go check it out on YouTube, because we have this beautiful background.
Oh my god. We made the whole
slut show.
The Slut Show with Ellen Moore. Amazing. I forgot to do a shout out to the one and only creator of my logo, which is at Jenna Draw Shit. She's also in the link of the YouTube video. She has an amazing feminist Instagram account with all of her fantastic drawings. She also drew the thumbnail of this video and of the previous 3 episodes, and she designed the logo, and I'm so grateful to be working with her. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful to do this with everyone around me. There is an amazing friend of mine called Nikos. He played in the tunes. All the guitar playing you hear in the video is his doing.
Shout out to Nikos.
Shout out to Nikos. Shout out to Jenna Draw Shit on Instagram, and shout out to Irsa Maria for doing this with me, for helping me design the fantastic background of the Slut Show.
You're welcome, babe. You're very, very welcome.
And for being so open again. If you're interested in reading the information I mentioned in Slutty Science, please check out the description box of the video. Where you can find all the details and resources where I got this information. As per usual, I really hope you enjoyed this week's episode. In next week's episode, I'm back with Irsa. What we're going to be discussing is going to be a secret, because something very, very, very exciting is coming. Get ready. A new segment is going to be added, and you're going to love it. If you love the Slut Show, you're going to love this so much. Get excited for next week. Please follow Irsa on Instagram, which is Irsa.Maria. And follow me on Instagram, which is @by Ellen Moore. Also, to be able to ask questions that we're going to be answering in our little mail segment, you and me or another guest. We're going to see if it's going to be you for the 5th one as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and share the Slut Show with your friends. And for now, sluts out.